This is the path to Michael's house. He built the house himself in the 30s, but he had to rebuild it a couple of years ago when it was burnt down by accident by 2 students that he left working there. He makes batiks, and it was hot wax that caused the accident. He lives on the proceeds of the batiks and a little bit of teaching at Ware College. He's been a friend of my family for a number of years now. Here he is with my mother and Sue. She's a girl who helps him. With my mother. It's Michael that we'll hear talking first.
And you know, the whole of that area I've got now didn't cost more than £130. Getting away from...
You weren't an art student?
Well, I had been going to a college in Newcastle for a while, and I failed to get a scholarship at King's College, Newcastle. I saw Boyfriend the other day. Did you ever see that movie, Boyfriend? No, I saw the original thing years ago. The movie, Ken Russell did it, and it's a really fine movie. Is it right?
So whilst you are
I really like going to movies. I haven't gone all the way with Ken Russell now. Well, I never quite lost the thrill of that, you know, the untrodden beaches and the getting excited when he met another car. It looked to me rather like a common. Well, the trees were all, you know, about the height of this room, and some of them higher, but it all looked like a big common from where I am now, right up to the church. And my wife and Tevins and his wife were down and everything. And I think there was a general feeling I should perhaps sell, or sell a big portion of the ground, something like that. But no, in my self, I thought I could easily build it again, you know, because I built it in the first place. Well, some firms have started to print with pigment dyes, an American brand called Alley Dye, and they boast that they can get the feel of the cloth to feel just like ordinary dyes. I wouldn't dream of using them. So, I mean, I want dyes that you can dye with. The very first thing, of course, is to draw the design. And my method is to translate it into linear. And then, having drawn it in line on a big piece of brown paper, the actual size of the finished thing, I then perforate these lines with one of these embroidery wheels with spikes sticking out. And then through the perforated holes, I pounce charcoal like mural decorators do. Dusted charcoal and then sweep it through, or work it through with a cloth. And that gives you an imprint of the linear design on the cloth. Then I mount that on a frame so that no part of the cloth is touching a table. It has to be completely free of the table for the waxing. Now, in doing the waxing, one decides whether you're going to use a chanting or a brush. Both techniques are different, but you can use also both brush and chanting. The chanting does a line, which a brush can't do, but the brush can do masses and thick lines, about, well, a quarter or half an inch thick. The wax must be not too hot. If it's too hot, it tends to spread on the cloth. It must be just hot enough to go through to the other side. You can see if it's gone through to the other side because the cloth darkens as it goes through. You must also watch, of course, that the wax is not on a really hot point. I have, in the studio here, 2 plates that never can get hot enough to be of any danger. I can leave the wax on all day and it still wouldn't ignite if it's spilt. They're 2 hot points that are wide and serious. Well, having got the wax design onto the cloth, the next thing is to dye it. And you have a choice of about 3 cold water methods of dyeing. It has to be a cold method because the wax would melt in hot dye. And the one I'm using at the moment is what I call naphthol dyeing. The schools don't know of it so much. It's more of an industrial technique. They tend to use procyon, and some schools even use vat dyes, which I think are more complicated. However, all three methods are cold water methods, and the naphthalene dyeing is so cold water that some of the salts used to be called ice colors because you had to drop little blocks of ice in them during working periods. But now, of course, they're much more stable, and there's no need to have a fridge or even use little blocks of ice. Well, that puts your first colour on. In my particular method at the moment, I then wash off the wax in a very hot detergent with a little paraffin or turpentine in the water, iron the cloth, and then re-wax it again, this time overlapping certain portions of the colour, certain portions of the ground, and so on, so that I will get an overlapped area, an area which leaves the first colour, and an area which will leave the third colour. And so in two dyeings you get three colours. And I try to devise designs which will be content with that.
John Tobin and Graham came to see him about an exhibition, but they stayed to lunch. They are both artist teachers too, and we recorded some of the conversation that we had with them.
When Dunlop started making their tires there, and it's now a great big estate, I think. Most of the people working for Dunlop.
So would be, in fact,
Quite different.
We thought it was going to be very bad.
Oh, it was very much bush when I was there.
Mrs. Thatcher doesn't
Too much so, that's how this fire went through the trees. It started close.
On subject.
They stopped one course, didn't they, at the Lanchester Polytechnic?
Yeah, I mean, they sent out a directive from
Oh,
actually the
5
head
years
of the
just have to finish this
educational advice
college,
thingy,
probably just
and he said art is
I
objects in
spent
the
time
round.
in space
I think he even defines
in New York
the
studying.
medium, or pigment on a flat
Then when I got back
surface.
here, I realised that I was
Oh,
eligible for
Yeah,
a grant.
it's really
Because
Most of them, they know what art
to study, but I couldn't. There was an increase.
pigment applied too, I beg your
So
pardon.
I went to New York. Now I've come back. I'm eligible for a grant, so I'm starting to do it all over again.
About 12 of these naphthalnes, but this one gives a fairly wide range of colour, from black, blue to orange, and all the reds, from claret up to almost a yellow-orange. And the solution of this dustbin is known as naphthalene AS. Now, I'll dip them in here for a little bit more than a minute. Sometimes the solution is just colourless, but this one has a slight primrose colour when you bring it out. Now you have to wash them before you put them in the next solution. One going in red, one going in blue. See? This goes a greeny blue to start with, and then it eventually goes a deeper blue. Right, I'll put them on the stone, shall I? You can elaborate the design further. You may want, for instance, to add some patches of colour that are not much bigger than, say, an inch square. Now, there are purists who would say that you should resist the whole of the rest of the cloth with wax and dye it again just to do that little, say, square inch of colour, which I think is an abuse of one's time. And I would simply recommend painting that area, again with your same colours, the naphthal's or potions. And that's what I've been doing on this particular cock design. I've been doing the small little patches of the comb and the feathers in painting on colours. And I would consider that always a valid way of doing small little bits, rather than doing the whole of that resisting operation just to dye small little. But there are purists who would say you shouldn't do that. I mean, mostly old ladies who've been told.
The ones that buy the beeswax.
Yes. You want me to go on to bed now? Right.
Yes. Could you tell me when you're going to, and I'll...
Well, I'm going to do it now.
Okay.
Girls here, students, who used to come out every week, and they've been doing this for about a year. So I thought, well, they could be trusted to melt wax when I wasn't here. And, well, the upshot of it was that one of them started to melt wax in the kitchen instead of in here, in the workshop. And then coming back, they began talking and forgot all about it till it reached flash point. And then they looked through the kitchen, and it was all one mass of flame. And they so concentrated, they couldn't get through to the telephone, which is on the other side of the kitchen. And then I suppose at that stage they must have panicked. And I understand that the only other person in this particular area was an old man of 95 living next door. And he always maintains he was the one who rang up 999 and got the fire engines going. And when they eventually got here, they decided to abandon all this portion here and the kitchen because it was too far gone, and they concentrated on the house portion. And that's how they saved the walls, I suppose. They say, well, the roof was burnt off, but the walls stood. And then I came back that evening about 6:15, and I reached the next village down the line, Whitford, and I just wondered if I'd be in time to have a cup of tea with the girls. I got as far as the village here, and I couldn't understand the number of people who were knocking about at that time of day, on a weekday too. It puzzled me, and especially as two women waved to me who had never waved before in 20 years. And then I began to puzzle still more when I got to the end of this rough lane here, and there were crowds of people there. And then I saw the two girls, their faces all blackened, and two white rivulets down their cheeks where the tears were flowing. And I said, what on earth's the matter? And their mouths were opening, but the words weren't coming. It was so hysterical. And then I saw what had happened because I could see the smoke drifting over the trees. And I saw, well, they burnt the place down.